Yeah, I just got a notification you liked my post from 2009. That wasn't me. It's a fake profile. I'm being spammed. I've had all kind of problems with scammers. I had these guys from Nigeria. I don't know what's going on. Wasn't me. Full on denial, just like the politicians. Nope, wasn't me. I didn't do that. I plead the fifth. Preserving memories of the past is something we all do, whether we're 8, 18, or 80. Whether we're talking about photos or videos on a smartphone today, or we were firing up the family camcorder as kids, keeping the past alive and capturing precious moments has always been important. And today, we're going to talk about all the ways we used to do it. So grab your Kodak FunSaver and a 24 roll of Fuji film, and let's jump into all the ways we used to make memories. Let's go. First off, I want to thank everyone for joining me today. You may wonder why my background is a lake for a episode about preserving memories, and you also may not wonder, but I'm going to explain it anyway. This is season 3 of Remember When Radio, and I've tried to keep the focus mainly on summer activities and things like that. But I had this idea for this episode, and I really wanted to make it because I thought there was a lot of good stuff here. So, despite the fact that this episode isn't entirely focused on summer, it is still summer where I live, and heck, summer's going to be at the lake. So we only got, I think, after this one, 2 more episodes left. I think that's right. So expect to see the lake background for the rest of them. Anyway, that's enough boring stuff. Let's get to the goods. Let's talk about the first way, I would say the main way that we used to preserve our memories was with a camera. Now, today we would call that an old school camera, perhaps a film camera, but that was the way, the only way, one of the only ways that we had to capture a visual memory of a point in time. And you used to have to be so careful and so selective with what you choose to take a photo of. Because when you would go on vacation, your parents, or you, if you had your own camera, had a very limited amount of film. You only got, I think, 24 shots on a roll. If you paid a little extra, I think sometimes you got 30. So you might have gone on vacation with only 2 or 3 rolls of film, heck, maybe even one. And you had to, every picture you took, you had to ask yourself, is this photo worthy? Will this be one of the 24 to make the cut? Because there's probably going to be at least 23 other things on this vacation that I'm going to want to take a picture of. So it wasn't like today where you just had your smartphone and you're snapping pictures of everything. You had to really think about it. You had to really be careful. You might see a sunset and you're thinking to yourself, this is a gorgeous sunset, but is it photo worthy? And what I found, I remember taking pictures of sunsets on a couple trips. I think I was in Hawaii one time and I saw this gorgeous sunset and I thought that right there is a beautiful photo. And I get it back and it's just this orange blob on the photo card, and I thought that was a waste. That was a waste of one of my 24. What else could have been here instead of that? It does not look good. And that was the thing. You had absolutely no idea if the photo you wanted to take would actually be good or not. It was really just a gamble. Sometimes you thought that the thing you were taking a picture of was going to be the picture of all pictures. It was going to be the the keystone picture of the family photo album. And it just sucked. Maybe everyone was making a bad face or everyone was, just like, duh, duh, something like that. It was terrible, it just came out wrong. What a waste. And remember when a family member intentionally ruined a picture, whether they were making a stupid face or they had their eyes closed? Wasn't that always annoying when the picture was so good, but there was one person with their eyes closed? Everyone just, and one person just with their eyes closed, ruining the whole thing. And then as you're looking at the picture together as a family, everyone would get mad at that person. Why'd you close your eyes? You ruined the picture. That would always lead to some family fights. I remember my younger brother went through this phase, just every photo, making those weird faces. My daughter is going through that phase right now. She can't take a photo without sticking her tongue out or putting her putting her fingers in her mouth and stretching her stretching her lips out. It's always got to be somebody, right? I enjoy seeing people who finger the camera. That to me is always a classy move. I love seeing adults with a Facebook profile and their Facebook profile picture is them giving the middle finger. Top tier person right there. That is the cream of culture society, the people who are still giving the middle finger to the camera. I like seeing people who are 40 and 50 doing that. Just awesome. Awesome. But that was the thing with taking pictures back then, is you really had no idea if it was going to be good or not. Like today, you can take a photo and you can look at it and think, no, this sucks. You look ugly and you look ugly. We got to take it again. And you got to take it again. And you can take a picture 10 times. Often when I'm taking a photo of people, whether they know it or not, I'll take 10 or 15. Just, you know, like for example, when a couple on vacation or something comes up and like, will you take picture? Yeah, I'll take your picture, but I never take one or two. You want to take 10 or 12 because in that 10 or 12, there's likely a very good chance at least one of them will look good. Look at professional models. They take hundreds, thousands of pictures before they get a good one, and then they go airbrush them, right? Even the people who's make a living taking pictures don't always look awesome. It's really an art form, and it's kind of luck of the draw. The funny thing about taking pictures back then is you were never the first person to see them. You know who was? The person working at the photo lab. And I always wondered on a slow day if they would look through our albums. I'm sure they did. They must have. Be like, oh, dude, Fred, get over here. Look at this guy. Like, they must have, you know? We never knew what was going on back there. It was all top secret. We never got to peek behind the scenes. I know a girl who worked in a photo lab. I should ask her. Charmaine, if you're listening, I want the answer to this. Did you or did you not look at people's photos and make fun of them? I think it must have happened. I want to know the answer. So please get back to me on that. Those photo lab people must have seen some weird stuff. Because how many times did you take a camera to a party? Maybe have a couple drinks or someone who was there was having a few drinks and taking pictures. That was dangerous. You know? That's the kind of evidence you really don't need uh, photographic evidence for, which is why your generation, I think, was a little safer to grow up in. I see memes about that all the time, how growing up in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have so much photographic evidence like we do today. Today someone does something stupid at a party or anywhere really in public, and they're all over the internet. It's very easy to destroy someone today because everyone's got a camera. And, you could find yourself just having a poor 10 seconds of poor judgment or letting your anger or emotions get the best of you, and suddenly you're the next internet meme. It's awful. We couldn't do it back then because film was too expensive and no one cared. No one was going to bust out their Sony camcorder during a road rage incident and be like, hold on, buddy, hold on a second. I gotta go to the trunk and set up my Sony camcorder. Just hold your road rage for a second. Okay. Ah, shoot, the battery's not charged. Will you stay right there? I gotta go home and get the other battery. Hold on. Just save it all. Call me a effing loser as soon as I'm back. Okay? Hold on to that rage. It's totally different now. Thank God I grew up in the era that I did. That's all I'm gonna say. Another thing that's changed is no one took selfies back in the day. I remember selfies were not a thing. People would take pictures of themselves. Wait, hold on, that sounded weird. But people might get like a picture of themselves with a beautiful background. Like for example, someone might get a picture of themselves with a lake in the background, or they go to Hawaii and there's a beautiful mountain or a beach behind them. No one was taking just pictures of their faces. It was something we didn't do back then. And I remember seeing the shift in that when smartphones came out and all of a sudden selfie sticks were a thing. God, I hated seeing that transition into society. I know narcissism isn't quite the right word, but a lot of people use it in the wrong context. So I'm going to use it in this context anyways, where I just saw this rising level of narcissism growing in our society where suddenly Rather than taking pictures of their friends or their family members or a beautiful setting, people just became so obsessed with themselves. And the selfie stick was kind of the beginning of the end for a part of our culture, where just people were walking around these stupid sticks, talking to the camera, making these videos. That was like the rise of influencer culture. And oh gosh, it was, I would say in so many ways, it was just a bit of a demise in our society where people stopped being focused on others so much and really started becoming more self-obsessed. It probably happened around the mid 2000s. When did smartphones come out? 2010, something like that? 2009? I remember it was right around that time. I hated selfie sticks. Now that we have so much more access to taking pictures and we don't have to be careful with what we take pictures of, what is up with people who take pictures of their food? I'm sorry, I just don't understand that. Food is for eating. I've never understood that. There's entire blogs dedicated to foodies. It's like, oh, don't eat it before you take a picture of it. It's a bowl of spaghetti. You're supposed to eat it. Can you imagine doing that on a family vacation back in the 80s? You know, going to Boston Pizza or Old Spaghetti Factory or something like, hold on, I'm going to take a picture of the spaghetti. What do you mean you're going to take a picture of the spaghetti? No one cares about spaghetti. I want it for the photo album. It's just so weird. It's so weird what we take pictures of now. What what people are doing. Now, speaking of photo albums, that was such a beautiful way to preserve memories. That's something people really used to do more of, and I just don't feel like people do it as much today. Photo albums were a huge thing. When I grew up, my family had lots of different photo albums of different eras of us growing up. When my parents, when they were younger, when they were kids, when they were in high school, my grandparents had photo albums, and it was so cool because it was one place to collect all the memories of everybody. And it was so cool to see how they would change and grow. And then the kids come into the picture, and then siblings, and then they become grandparents. And I feel like that's just something we don't do anymore. People are not keeping photo albums as much as they used to because now we have so many pictures. How many pictures do you have on your phone right now? Hundreds? Thousands? I probably have at least 1,000 pictures on my phone right now. And I guarantee that most of them are doubles and triplicates and quadruplicates of the same thing. My entire phone is pictures and videos of my daughter because she's growing up right now. She's 4 years old. It's such a precious age. Every day is so precious. I'm trying to document it all. But how often am I actually going back and looking at them? Not as often. When my phone gets full, I put them on my computer and I load them up on an external drive. And the only time I really go back and look at them is when I need to plug that external drive in or my USB stick or whatever because I've been looking for something else. And then I'll find those pictures and think to myself, "Oh yeah, I remember that day. I remember that moment. Oh, look at how beautiful she is. What a wonderful experience that was." It's so different now because it's not as accessible. Whereas when you had the photo album on a bookshelf, you could pull it out. I remember my grandparents used to do that with me. We would go over sometimes and my Opa would pull out the photo album and we just sit down and look at it. And it was a cool thing to do. And you're like, who's that? Who's that person? That's you? You had hair? All these mind-blowing things. I honestly think we should make photo albums great again. Bring back the photo album. We're going to make them great. We're going to bring them back. They're going to be the best albums ever. So much better than the ones we used to have. They were very bad back in the day. They're going to be not like those albums we had in the 60s. Those were the worst I've ever seen. We're going to make them great. They're going to be so good. Given what's going on right now in Canada, I'm sure that's not the most popular impression I could be doing, but let's make them great again. Bring back the albums. I'll be in all of them. Speaking of narcissism, right? Remember how exciting it was? I'm kind of jumping all over the place a little bit, but remember how exciting it was when you got back from a vacation and your parents took the film to the photo lab to get developed? Wasn't that so awesome? It felt like you used to have to wait forever. I don't know how long it was, a day, 2 days, a week. Everything took way longer back in the 80s and 90s. It took a year for a movie to come out on VHS. I feel like it took at least a week for film to get developed, even though I know it's probably not true. It just felt like a week back then. It's probably a couple days. Eventually it became 24 hours. I remember that was the big selling point at London Drugs was 24 hours. And then we all just took our film there because it was the fastest. But that was such a fun thing to do when you would get back from a trip with your family. Your whole family would just gather around the table and you'd just start going through all the pictures together. And it was such a cool thing. And you would take those best ones and you would put those in the photo albums. And it was such a cool way to preserve memories. It was so exciting. You couldn't wait to see those pictures. Or maybe sometimes you went on a trip with friends in high school. Maybe you were on a sports trip or you went on a trip with a band. I remember when I was in grade 10, our school band went to Hawaii. Man, we had so much fun. That was some of the most fun I ever had in my entire life. And we took some awesome photos. And we were so excited because you probably had, I don't know, 40 kids on the trip. Every one of those kids has a camera, and every one of those kids is documenting different things. And when we all got our film developed, we all hung out after school. We traded pictures. We gave people the negatives so they could go and make a copy of it. May or may not have found pictures with partial accidental nudity. And everyone was like, I need to copy that one, and I'm not going to tell you why. Everyone knew why. But it was just such a cool and fun thing. It was such a cool, fun thing to do back then, and it was so exciting. I don't get that level of excitement to look at a picture anymore. There's no anticipation. You don't take a photo of someone on your phone and get excited to see it because it's instant. The gratification is instant. There's no waiting. There's no building up the excitement. You know what I mean? It's totally different now. It's great. It's convenient. Don't get me wrong. It's so convenient, and no potential weirdo at the photo lab has to potentially see your, you know, maybe embarrassing or somewhat humiliating photo before you do. You get to see it, and if it sucks, you delete it. That is the joy, and that is the big perk of modern photos is you can take a horrible picture and instantly say, nope, nope, that's getting deleted. Nope, no one's seeing that. Whereas before you couldn't. Your whole family would see it, or your whole friend group would see it. It's just an awful picture of you making a horrible face or having a booger in your nose or something in your teeth, you know? That is one upside to today is that it's so easy. It's so easy to erase the bad ones. Remember Kodak FunSaver cameras? Those were fun. Why was it more fun taking pictures on a Kodak FunSaver? It was that little paper box with the plastic camera inside, and you had to wind it, and I think they had 24 shots on them, or sometimes 30. I don't know why we bought those. Well, I guess they were disposable. So if you didn't have your own film camera, or you didn't want the family very correctly did not want you, the irresponsible teenager, to take the very expensive family camera on a trip, you could get Kodak FunSavers. Those were awesome. No pressure, right? You drop a Kodak FunSaver, who cares? You left the Kodak FunSaver at the beach, well, maybe some stranger's going to take it and develop it and see what you look like in a bathing suit, but there was really no stress to the Kodak FunSaver. And I don't know what it was. I don't know why they called them Fun Savers. It should have been the Fun Maker because they were really fun to take pictures with. I loved having those. For some reason, more fun than your regular standard camera. Do you remember when they came out with underwater disposable cameras? They had the plastic case around them. Those seemed so awesome. I think it was Kodak. They did that too. I remember when our school band, we went to Hawaii when I was in grade 10. I bought one of those and I thought it was going to look like National Geographic. I thought it was going to be down there snorkeling, just taking these amazing, pristine, unbelievably clear, high definition underwater pictures of all these tropical fish and my friends down there swimming with the fish. It was terrible. It looked essentially like it was like a bluish gray haze everywhere in these underwater cameras. And if your subject wasn't 2 feet in front of you, you couldn't see them. The idea was so good. The idea of these things was so good. The execution was awful. I remember getting that thing developed and just being so disappointed with how low quality the pictures were because I had such high expectations of this Kodak underwater camera. And I remember everyone was disappointed. There was a couple kids on the trip who got those, and we were all kind of in the same boat. But it was still a cool experience. I mean, how else are you going to take a picture underwater, of your friend giving the double fingers underwater? I'm quite sure that was a picture. I think my friend Kevin in high school, I think I have a picture of him underwater. Giving the double fingers. Classic, classic teenage moment. I'm sure that went in the album. In fact, I know it did. If I pulled out my high school my photo albums from high school, which I hope I still have. I hope I wasn't stupid enough to throw those away. I guarantee that picture's in there. Should see if I can pull it up. You know what I miss that I think is still important that people aren't doing as much today is framed photos. There's something about a framed photo that is such a beautiful way to capture a moment in time. And I feel like people in my generation aren't doing it as much as our parents and grandparents. I remember my grandparents, they had framed photos of everybody. They had framed photos of their grandparents or their parents, maybe their parents. I think maybe grandparents is a bit of a stretch, but they had framed photos of their parents. So it was this living relic of their family members all over the house. And in my house, we barely have any framed photos. I got in this room, I have one. I have one framed photo of me and Jack Canfield holding my book when I met him at a conference, the book that he endorsed and wrote the forward to. And I have a framed photo of me and my daughter in the other room. And there's a framed photo of my wife and I on our wedding day. And that's about it. So we have three framed photos on our house. Whereas if you go to my parents' house, my mom's house, it's got tons of framed photos from all different eras. Dozens. And I feel like that's something we just don't do as much today anymore. And I kind of want to because there's something so beautiful about it really gives a picture the stage that it deserves. You put a picture in a frame, all of a sudden it elevates it 10 times. Especially a beautiful picture of your family or a wonderful moment of you with someone. It's a really beautiful way to keep a memory alive. And I like how it keeps it front and center. So let's bring back the photo album. Let's bring back the frame photos. Let's make them great again. Now, do you remember when you had to forcibly get a picture taken to preserve a memory? For example, when your parents forced you or you and your siblings to go to Sears or Woodward's or something like that and sit down and get a posed photo together. Wasn't that the worst? I don't know what it was like for you and your family, but my brothers and I used to fight we fought the worst ever when we knew we had to go get a forced family photo. And I don't know why. We hated these things so much. And as an adult looking back, what a beautiful opportunity to you and your brothers and you and your siblings to get a photo taken together. That's such an amazing thing. But we fought like hell. We fought with each other, we fought with our parents, we fought getting into the car, driving there, getting out of the car. We fought every single second up until sitting on that stupid little stand or stool there. And then the photographers be like, everybody smile. And we went from like, I hate you so much. Why did you make me get this picture taken? Everybody smile. Click. It's over. You're the worst mom ever. I hate you so much. I don't know. I think there's a huge gap in family photos in my family because I know that there was one. I think I was about 8. I was 7 or 8. My older brother was 10. My younger brother must have been 2 or 3. I think there's a huge gap there. I think that's the one photo we took, and my mom after that just thought it wasn't worth it anymore. Because the next picture of the three of us, heck, me and my older brother were in our 20s. I was 22, he was 24. My younger brother was 16. So I think it was too much work for my parents to get another family photo. Although we did get them taken at church. We were much better behaved at church because God was watching. Sears? Not so much. In fact, the most infamous family photo in my family is one where my dad was wearing this sweater and it was literally the exact same color as the backdrop on the photo. So my dad just looks like a floating head. We call it the floating head photo. My whole family looks great. Everybody happy, smiling. We've got our nice church clothes on. I had a little leather tie on that I was so proud of. I thought I looked so cool in. No fighting in this one. Must have been a good day. Like I said, God was watching, so we were on our best behavior. Maybe it's close to Christmas, who knows? But just my dad with this floating head and his big mustache from the 80s, that big 80s mustache. Love that. Does your family have anything like that where someone literally matched exactly the backdrop and they just blend in? Looked like the Predator from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Remember getting your school photo taken? Wasn't that always stressful? I hate getting my photo taken as an adult by any kind of professional because they always give you the worst instructions, and it was so difficult with the school photos. You'd go in, you think you're sitting comfortably and normally like, okay, turn this way a little, lift your head. No, the other way. Turn your head the other way. Okay. Uh, Rotate it a little bit, 45 degrees. Yeah. Okay. Now turn your body more. Okay. Now look up and smile. Like, ah, like they put you in the most awkward poses. You feel like Ray Charles sitting there trying to get a picture taken. And then you look at it, you see it in the yearbook. It's so bad. How many people just have awful yearbook photos? Lots. I got a couple. You get the yearbook, you look at it, you're like, jeez, please do not turn to that page. Could you not have let me know how bad it was and I would have done a retake? Really, really terrible. Now, people who work in education, I think there's nothing more humbling than getting your photo taken every year. And each year you look at it and you're like, well, I'm certainly getting older. God, I look terrible. Wow, I really must have taken a beating last year. Look at how wrinkled my forehead is. One of my friends is bald, and he hates looking at his high school education photos because for years he had hair. He had a great head of hair, and then it just started hitting him. And each year his hairline was just receding more and more. And then it is last year with hair. He still look. I mean, he's a good looking guy. He still looks good, but he still had a decent amount of hair. But I guess he was losing it, and it was receding so fast. He made the decision to shave it off. He's very lucky. He's one of the rare white people who pulls off a really good bald look. It's our white people aren't known for being able to pull off the bald look as well. This guy pulls it off really well. Um, but you can see that transition, thinning, 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 bald. And he hates looking at his photos. He makes a joke out of it. It's, you got to laugh. It's funny, but yeah, it's weird. It's weird because when you're a kid and you're getting your photo taken, you're looking at the transition of you getting older, bigger, taller, stronger, probably better looking, coming into yourself more. So let's say grade 8 to grade 12, you kind of like looking at the photos as long as they're not too bad. Because you think to yourself, oh yeah, I'm tall. Look how much taller I got. Wow, I really filled out this year. Hey, I look pretty good in this photo. Look at what I looked like in grade 8. I looked like a kid. Now in grade 12, I look like a young adult. This is awesome. I love seeing this. And as an adult, yeah, just, God, I look haggard. Please stop taking these. Let's just keep using the same pic from 2018. I just want you to recycle that pic forever. Like an actor whose headshot is their younger self 20, 30 years ago. Looks nothing like them anymore, but they keep using the same headshot to get booked somewhere. Then the casting director thinks he's booked this, you know, 20 something, and this grizzled 50-year-old walks in. Ready for the photo shoot, sweetie. One thing about high school yearbooks, you are never as cool as you think you are. And high school yearbooks are the proof because no one in their life walks around thinking, I look like an idiot. This style I got going on, I look like a complete dork. People don't do that. If they think that, they're going to change it. People are usually very confident in the look that they've got going on, right? For example, look at this red track jacket. I think I look awesome. But I know a couple years down the road, I'm going to look at them like, what the hell were you thinking? Putting on a pair of sunglasses and a red track jacket and that necklace. I mean, the necklace I wear, my daughter made it for me. I love this necklace. This is why I wear it. It adds a little color to my life. Um, but the bottom line is people always think they look awesome. But you're never as cool as you think you are because look at your high school photo. When you were in grade 8, you thought you looked pretty cool, right? But what happened when you got to grade 10? You would look back at your grade 8 photo and think, what a loser. What a dork. Good thing I look so much cooler now. I'm way cooler now. But then grade 12 you would look at grade 10 you and say, man, I look like a complete idiot. It always happens. So I feel like no matter what stage in life you're at, when you look back, you're just kind of shaking your head a little bit. Look at that hairstyle I had. What was I thinking? Look at those clothes. I was wearing a no fear shirt. Not cool, man. Not cool. Never as cool as you think you were, or as you think you are. Pardon me. Remember when the only way to take a video of something was to bust out a Sony camcorder, maybe a Panasonic camcorder, but those big industrial size home video recorders from the 80s, those things were so awesome. You look like a legit news crew. Those things were so big, sometimes you'd have them resting up on the shoulder, you know? You might as well have had your mom on a boom mic in the background, just hanging it over. It looked like a legit like news station, a news broadcast happening out in the open. Those are so awesome though. Remember when your family would bust out the home video recorder, how exciting that was? You'd always want to put on some kind of performance. I remember my dad figured out this thing. He could make it look like we were walking through the wall. We had a partition in our dining room, and my dad figured out this thing that if you had one of the kids walk towards the wall and look like he's about to walk into it, and then you hit pause on the video camera, then the kid would run around to the other side of the wall and he'd hit record again, and he would just pretend like he's walking naturally. When you watch that back on the tape, it looked like the kid had walked right through the wall. We thought that was the absolute coolest thing in the entire world. I don't know how many times we made our dad do that. Dad, make us walk through the wall. Film us walking through the wall. I've already done it 30 times. Fine, go ahead. But having a home video camera was so awesome. So excited. Of course, you had to make sure the battery was charged. And much like film cameras, you had to have tape available. Wasn't that always the worst when you went to film a special moment and the battery was dead? You had to wait 2 hours to charge it. Don't light the birthday candles yet. I'm going to charge the battery. Everyone just find something to do for 2 hours. I don't want to miss this moment. Or if you didn't have a fresh tape, what precious family memory can I erase over? The christening? First birthday? First band concert? Yeah, that one. Let's get rid of that one. No one needs that. But it doesn't matter what you were filming. Those home movies were so awesome. And I feel like we watch them way more. How often do you watch the videos you take on your phone? Probably almost never, right? And the really weird thing today is, you know what we're really watching? The videos we're really watching? We're watching videos other people took on their phones and uploaded to YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. That's weird. We're literally watching other people's home movies. That's a whole cultural thing that has taken over our society. It's kind of weird to think about. That's our culture now. We watch other people's home movies and comment on them. Some people make mean comments because they're losers and they have nothing better to do with their time. But that aside, it's really changed. We used to love watching our own home movies. And now we watch other people's home movies and we think to ourselves, what the hell am I doing? I got to stop watching this. I got to get off this. But it wasn't like that when we watched our own home movies. I remember my whole family used to sit around and we would watch the whole home movie of my brother's birthday. Or maybe like we went bowling and we took the video camera. We would watch the whole thing. 45 minutes of bowling every second. Loved it. It was awesome. We used to make popcorn, watch home movies together. Such a cool thing. That's definitely something we don't do anymore. Even when I was older, I had a video camera and my family went to Mexico. We did a Mexico trip when I was a little older. I think I was 21. And it was my mom, dad, me, my younger brother, who was 15 at the time, which is legal drinking age in Mexico, and my best friend, who was the same age as me. And we took my video camera and we made the most epic movie ever that can never be shown to anyone and has since been destroyed because there's too much damning evidence on it. Now, speaking of damning, Another way to preserve memories was a lot of people kept journals and diaries. But that was really dangerous because what was the big temptation of everyone? It was to read someone else's journal or diary, especially if you had a girlfriend or a boyfriend or something and you knew that they kept a diary. You're just like, oh, what's in there? I gotta know. But you shouldn't have known. But it was this thing. Everyone wanted to read someone's diary. Remember that? And that was always the big thing on the shows we watched back then, Saved by the Bell or something, you know. Zach read my diary. It was this it was this big thing. Beverly Hills 90210. I'm sure someone read someone's diary on there. Caused a lot of drama. It was a big thing. That's why they used to sell them with locks on them. Remember those diaries that had locks on them? Had a little key for it, so someone had to put that tiny little skeleton key in there and open it up. What a weird thing. But keeping diaries was dangerous just because of that. Look what happened to Fauci. He kept a diary. His diary is all over the internet now. I lied about everything. Wait, that was Trump. I can't do a Fauci. Sorry. But I mean his diary is all over the internet now. Basically showing that he pretty much lied about everything he said during that whole period of time. And he had to go testify in Congress in front of it. That's why he said he's pleaded the fifth the whole time. Oh shoot, they read my diary. I plead the fifth. I don't know. I plead the fifth. You essentially lied about everything. I plead the fifth. Right? So yeah, diaries was dangerous. You ever read a journal entry or a diary entry from your younger self? So pathetic. You know, so desperately hung up on someone who never cared about you or someone who just broke your heart because they didn't care about you at all. It was actually like a terrible person or just discarded you, treated like garbage. You go back and read a diary from that diary entry from that era, you know, it's so sad, so upset. But if you saw that person now, you wouldn't give them the time of day. Or if you did, you might give them the wrong time. Despite that, though, keeping a diary, you know, it was a way to preserve your memories or preserve your life experiences. Very different than film, much more personal, much more personal. You could really get into the whole emotions and everything behind what was going on. And I would say if you ever go back as an adult, I don't think many people are keeping their diaries from when they were a teenager anymore. But if you ever go back as an adult, you can kind of see where you became stronger in your life, right? Because the person you are now is much stronger. I don't think that as adults, I don't think we let people have so much control over us anymore. It's not as easy to get our heart broken. We don't get hung up on people. If someone doesn't care about you, that's their loss. You're awesome. There's billions of people in the world. Why get stuck on one who doesn't like you, doesn't care about you? You're much better than that. But our teenage selves didn't understand that part. I would say that is the one good thing about keeping in diaries. You can really see how far you've come as a person, how much stronger and how much more resilient you are, because adult you would never care. They're also a great way for us to learn lessons because you can look back at the things you went through when you're younger and you can say, I'm never going to do that again. Of course, you know, you often had to do that same thing again many, many times for that lesson to actually stick. But I think eventually most of us get to a point where when we say we're never going to do something like that again, we actually mean it. Or we think we mean it until we're put in that same situation again, and then we do it again. But that's okay. We could just write a diary entry about it and be like, what? I did it again, dummy. You know, one thing that's very different today, I talked a lot about digital pictures and everything, but they also have digital picture frames, which I think is it's cool, but it's not cool. I don't know. I love the old school versions. We spend so much time on screens now. I feel like our photos, I just love those static, beautiful photos. I don't want one more screen to look at as an adult. Give me the old classic frame anytime. And you know, another digital picture frame that's constantly being updated is what? Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever other profiles people have nowadays that I don't know about. But social media has essentially become a living photo album for people that's constantly being updated, constantly being added to. It's nuts. It's like a photo album that's live on the internet for everyone to see. And you can go back on your own, you can go back on your own Facebook profile. Go back to 2007. I think that's the year it came out. I think so. Go back to 2007. That's almost 20 years ago. and you can see what you were doing, what was important to you, the horrendously stupid things you were posting on your timeline that when they pop up now, you're so embarrassed by. I can't believe I said that. Delete, delete, delete. Oh my gosh. I hope they don't come after me. I hope the government doesn't come after me. It was just a joke. The interesting thing, you can not only see what you were doing back in the past and how much you've changed, but you can see how much your friends and family changed. Heck, you can maybe even see how much a total stranger has changed or someone you're not even connected with. You can go back in time and you can kind of see the history of people in their lives and, single, in a relationship, married, divorced, whatever. You can see their whole history. You know what's crazy though? You know what's super dangerous? You go back too far on someone, maybe like someone you once had a crush on or something like that, or an ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend or something. For some reason, you're digging through their 2008 Facebook and you're on your phone or something and scrolling and your dog barks, your cat jumps on you and you accidentally click like or something on a photo that's almost 20 years old. Not that that's ever happened to me. That's stressful. You have no recourse but to very quickly unlike it and then hope that that net person never contacts you. But yeah, I just got a notification you like my post from 2009. That wasn't me. It's a fake profile. I'm being spammed. I've had all kind of problems with scammers. I had these guys from Nigeria. I don't know what's going on. Wasn't me. Full on denial, just like the politicians. Nope, wasn't me. I didn't do that. I plead the fifth. All right. I think we're at the end of this one here. The way we keep memories, it's totally changed. It's easier now, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's better. I feel like the quality is lower. The convenience is much higher, but the meaning behind it is much lower. How many times are you going to sit the family around your computer and go through your thousands and thousands of photos together on your USB stick or your thumb drive? Probably never. You're not going to stick that USB stick in the bookshelf and pull it out from time to time, and be like, hey, let's fire this thing up. And with the kind of photos people are taking nowadays, it's probably not even safe to sit down with your kids and family members and just start randomly going through them. Too much potential for disaster or having to over-explain something. I don't know how that got on there. Who put that on there? Jeez. I think Steve must have sent me that. What a unbelievable pervert. No idea. No matter how we do it, though, keeping memories alive, especially family and friends, and the people we still have in our lives, it's really important. One thing about those photo albums, those memories of the past, is I really do feel, and I know this from experience, and you do too, that I think sometimes during the dark times and the the hard chapters of our life, those photos can bring us so much joy, so much comfort. Maybe it's the memory of a friend who's still your friend but far away, or someone who's not even your friend anymore, or girlfriend, boyfriend, family member, someone who was really important to you and made a real impact on your life. You can look back and just remember all the beautiful times, the beautiful places, the beautiful people that have been a part of your life. And it can really, really, really uplift you. And I think that is why keeping our memories, our family, our friendships, all that stuff, keeping them alive is so important and makes such a huge impact on our lives. And they also remind us of the importance of spending time with friends and family because as we get older, it can be so easy to forget why friendship's important, to forget how lucky you are to be able to pick up the phone and call that person, whether it's a friend or a family member, doesn't matter. Those connections are so important. I think more important than ever as social media and just the constant dividing of society. We're divided along every single line now. Political, economic, social, race, religion, culture, everything. Tim Hortons or Starbucks. There's so much division in our society. I think it's so important just to remember our commonalities and how lucky we are to have each other in our lives. So don't forget to keep making memories. Keep making memories. Don't stop. Don't stop till you're dead. Keep making memories. Keep doing the things that light you up. Keep making those phone calls to your friends and family and people you love and care about and getting together with. And keep preserving them. Keep taking those pictures. Keep taking those videos. Get together and watch them. Just double check that USB stick before you do. Hey, I want to thank you very much for listening. I hope you had a fun time listening to this episode. I hope it made you laugh and smile. Think back to just the days of film cameras, home movie cameras, how much fun we used to have when those things came out, that excitement, that nervousness of waiting to see them. I hope you had fun listening. If you did, please feel free to give a like or a follow. Please share it with someone who might get a kick out of it. We only got 2 episodes left this season. That'll be the wrap for season 3. Very excited for the next couple, especially the last one. I'm looking forward to that one. So thanks again for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day. Go make some beautiful memories. See you next week.